welcome to Elisabeth Hogarth Designs. Today we're looking at one of my favourite card shapes, which is the pop-up box. I usually make the smaller portrait version, but today we're going to look at how we can adapt that style to create beautiful landscape pop-up box cards alongside the stunning collection called Let It Be from Graphic 45. Here are the stunning Let It Be papers from Graphic 45. I have the 8x8 set, so you'll find that there are 3 sheets of the 8 designs. They are absolutely wonderful. They're so uplifting and the detail in them is incredible. Of course, Graphic 45 always hit you with the senses, so they smell gorgeous and the quality of the paper is excellent. It's cardstock really, but also it's got great snippability, and when you're crafting with high quality products like this, you are just in another world really. So I'll go through the front of the papers first, and then we'll talk a little bit about how they coordinate so beautifully with the backs. I can imagine using this set for just creating a small scrapbook page, but I'm going to concentrate on the elements that I can use as a card maker. So here's your first set. So you can cut into these beautiful sunflowers, and then you'll see that the imagery down the bottom here coordinates with some of the later papers and also the coordinating cards that come in the collection. It's an absolute treat for the eyes. This is also a clever idea to put the pops of bright yellow and bright red onto this black background, and then you've got these little subliminal words at the back. So you've got your buzz and your bee, and then the queen bee herself. This is where the elements come into it. So these cards you can buy separately, which is what I've done. But when you look really closely, you've got these inbuilt banners. Bee-utiful, and let's have a look. Just living is not enough, said the butterfly. One must have sunshine and a little flower. But that's Hans Christian Andersen. It's no wonder that I love all of these things, because it just takes me back to childhood and it allows me to reminisce. But even busy bees stop and smell the flowers. How true is that? But these colours work brilliantly together. The fact that you've got this green, yellow and red, but they're all in the same warm colour tone, just brilliant. This is a beautiful pattern. I love the polka dots in the back, and then you've got more sunflowers that you can fussy cut out and the tiny bees. You've then got these smaller black polka dots, so you're lucky that you've got 3 of each really, so you've got enough to be making backgrounds to your card. I like this page because it takes you from the yellow sunflower in the background, the colour of the golden sunflowers, but this time it's focusing more on these red ones, which look to me rather like our cornflowers. We're used to seeing them in blue, but they do look like cornflowers. Another really pretty design. And then we've got a set of papers that can be used as cards in themselves. So these can be the main toppers to your cards, and of course if you're a scrapbooker then you're going to use these elements, cut them up and use them as pockets or even as the cards within. These kinds of pages I find really hard to cut into, but I'm going to, because the projects that I'm going to be making are going to be worth using these stunning designs. So now we've looked at the front, let's quickly look at the back. This is when your bold patterns come into play. So here we've got our black and golden stripes of the honeybee. You've got one of my favourites, which are the bees themselves, the worker bees. We then have a really pretty red and pale cream floral pattern. You've got some more stunning stripes. These ones are thinner, but again, equally usable. So even if you go to this point, you can see how brilliantly Graphic 45 coordinate all of the colours. So any of these images on the front will easily combine. So you can mat and layer your cards. You can put the inside of these inside your boxes. It's just so cleverly thought out. On the back of this one, we've got this vintage style green polka dot. This kind of emerald green is very much of this season, but this is more muted, and I have to say I really like it. I adore this page of the honeycomb, and even now I'm still stroking the papers because it just gives you such joy to handle good quality papers. I adore this set, absolutely adore it. And then you've got that quote again. I think I'm very drawn to that quote, but I like the mix of fonts. I just love the style of it. It makes me happy. And then we've got a classic black and yellow. So here are the papers, and then I'll quickly show you the coordinating cards that I've got as well. These are the very usable journaling cards. I love collecting these. I need to use more of them. But this particular set, we've got the 4x6. So we're talking sort of imperial here, but we know in the UK that we use 4x6 a lot. And we've also got these 3x4, which I love using on my smaller cards and also within some of the A5 frames that I've got. We have 2 cards of each design. So again, I'll show you the front first. A lot of the backs have postcards written on them, so they are wonderful for journaling, but we're still going to focus on the card making. So they make brilliant toppers, because even if you cut into this part or fussy cut the sunflowers, you've got lots of extra elements. So we've got a beautiful black, red and golden Let It Be. I adore this image here. It's just a stunning card in itself with the sunflowers. As you can well imagine, the sunflowers do take centre stage, but you've got little hints of the bees buzzing around. And then we've got some landscape ones. Don't worry, be happy. Even busy bees, stop and smell the flowers. They're great affirmations, aren't they? So they'll make fantastic personal cards. We've got Hello Sunshine and another absolute beauty, Life is Beautiful. And then you've got the postcard kind of journaling element on the back with the grid paper. Something as good as this away. I absolutely adore this. I know I say I absolutely adore a lot of it, but that's always the case with Graphic 45 projects. I just find them a complete joy to work with. I tend to use them for my really personal family projects and albums, which is why you won't see a lot of it on my channel, but I am very much swayed by this type of paper craft. So these are your 3x4s, and again you've got more of your tags on the back, very much mirroring the bigger cards that I showed you. Now you've seen all of the various elements that we're going to play with, we'll move on to make a honeybee sunflower pop-up box card. As I've already explained, this box is going to be the smallest one of the 3 that I'm sharing with you today. So I found this gold card that I wanted to use, and I cut it down to 24 centimetres by round about 17.5, 18 centimetres. So you can see here that the smaller journal tags fit nicely within these panels. So this means that on my first piece along the long landscape edge, I'm going to score at 11 centimetres and 22 centimetres. So my panels are 11 centimetres wide. I have an excess here of 2 centimetres because this will turn out to be my tab. I then turn for the portrait and I'm going to score again at 7.5 centimetres to allow a 0.5 centimetre edge around my tab. We're going to do a similar thing again on our second piece of paper, measuring exactly the same size. So we're going to score at 11 centimetres and 22 centimetres. However, when we come to score at the 7.5 centimetre line, we only want to come to the first score line from the bottom here. This is because this becomes our back panel and you don't want to have a score line marking it. We're now ready to create our pop-up box, so we're going to use the score lines, and you want to have the smaller panel at the top, and you're going to cut down to your first score line, and then you're going to cut the top panel away, and you're going to create yourself a small tab here by making a right angle triangle and just cutting from the top through to the side. The white side is the outside of the box because you want to use the gold inside of the box here as part of the decoration of your panel. So that's part number 1. You're going to do the same again, so crease through your lines here, decide which part is the top, so it's the smaller part. You're going to use the score line to cut down to the landscape fold. This is going to become another outside flap, and we're going to do the same again, cut along the line, cut away, create your tab, and then fold down, and then you can imagine that once these tabs are stuck together, you've got the basis of your box. I find it easier to use red tape and glue to put this box together. You want the stability of the red tape, but you also might need a little bit of wiggle room. You want to take the fold of the tab and line it up with the corner of your box. So if you burnish down where you have glued and then lay it back down, you'll see that the crease line is in line with your cut here. You're going to do the same again. This time you want to bring over the left to the right and they'll join precisely together, and then you're going to open up your box. Just press that down firmly in place, and then you'll see that if you fold to the left, let's go over all your score lines again, and fold to the right. This will make it easier when you've finished your card and you want to lay it flat for posting. So this is the basic pop-up box, and as I say, you can make it in any size to suit your purpose. So the main element that you want as the focal point of your card is going to go on the side here, and then I go with 2 matching panels to go on your left and your right. I'm going to pick another panel to go at the top. In the past I've also used decorative paper and I've taken this panel all the way down, but for this particular range I want to show this burnt gold because I think it coordinates so well with the papers. And then as you turn it over, you want to have a journal piece that you can write your message on. And then I'm also going to add another panel here. I think I will swap my final tab here for a piece of decorative paper. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add all of these mats and layers. I'm going to use wet glue, but you can of course use your preferred tape or red tape. Journal pieces are now in place on the front panels, and underneath the box you've got the brilliant sunflower designed papers, and then you're going to turn and you can see how it's all coming together. You can of course decorate this part here, but when the box is standing you won't see underneath. So that's how the box card is going to look. And then at the back you've got the part here for your message. We now need to put the struts in place that are going to hold our card. So you can see that we've got three that are 11 centimetres long, and then you've got 1 centimetre at either side. So you score at the 1 centimetre point on a 13 centimetre strip, fold one back and fold one forward, and you've got yourself a Z-fold strut. And then we've got our trusted pegs in place. You can stick these parts in before you fold the card together, but I find it easier to line up these struts with the top of the box, add a peg, add a peg, add a little bit more glue. I'm then going to line it up with the top of the box on the right hand side and add a second peg, and that's the basis of how, and then I carry on with strut 2 and strut 3. Leave the box to dry for a little while and then remove the pegs, and then you're ready for decorating. And ideally you want to do this as like a platform effect, so you're going to go from lower through to higher. Sometimes you're going to stick to the front and sometimes to the back. So for this card I thought I would begin with sticking the sunflowers ever slightly to the top line here. This glue's pretty forgiving, so I don't need too much. So I'll take the row of sunflowers and I'm going to lay them on the front bar in the centre. Wiggle it around a little bit, so imagine that's what you're going to see. So you want the leaves just popping up. We're then going to go slightly larger, so we're going to take the sunflowers so that you can see them popping up behind the first row. So again, just a little bit of glue. So So you bring it slightly down across the band there. All of the bit inside the box will be hidden, but you want to make it as neat as you possibly can. And then I think we'll go in with the adverts with all the vintage style writing. Oh, I don't need that bit at the top. Let's take this away. The beauty of this glue is that it dries clear. So we're going to add a little bit in there so it's round about on the curve, and then we're going to go higher again with the last little panels. It could be that we add one of the larger panels, but I don't want to detract from the back here, so I think I might just go in with two of the same, slightly sitting on the back here. To give it some extra dimension, I've got some sisal here, and the trick to sisal is to take some in your hand and then take half away. Always, always, less is more. So you can bundle it up, and you just want to place it in between, and it's so fine and flexible that when you come to fold your card up, it doesn't affect the mechanism at all. So here are our finished cards. This is the one that we've just created, and I hope you can see that by adapting the sizing of these pop-up boxes, you really can make them in any style and in any design. Don't be put off by a little bit of measuring. If I can do it, I think anyone can. This is the slightly larger version with the hello friend. So again, they lie flat for posting, and I think that they're one of the first card designs that I truly fell in love with, and I bring them back every now and then because we're always getting new crafters that haven't seen these things. This was the original kind of design that I worked with, so from these measurements I thought, well, if I could do it in portrait, I can do it in landscape. I think that Let It Be from Graphic 45 is an absolutely stunning collection of imagery, very uplifting. Of course, the sunflowers have a different meaning at the moment because of the atrocities in Ukraine, but if it allows us to think of those brave people for a short time, then it's a good thing. These measurements will be in the description below, and if you've liked what you've seen today, please do consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel to see future content. I would love it if you could follow me across social media, and you'll see much more of these creations on my Instagram, my Facebook and my Pinterest accounts. I'll also have a blog or two in the next couple of days. So thank you for spending some time with me, and I look forward to welcoming you back to Elisabeth Hogarth Designs very soon. Bye bye for now. Take care.